أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين. قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. قال يا آدم أنبئهم بأسمائهم فلما أنبأهم بأسمائهم قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. صدق الله العظيم.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Honorable Minister, Minister of Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development, Dr. Ali Haidar Ahmad. Wadaganti bevi emha hazirin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Mi muhim mubaddal feshke midiyai ki ta Quran ke barakatun fatwa devi Qari Muhammad Riyaz. Korea demyati mashwara baddalum fettoma marhaba dennemu. Mi number Furam Kodevani, Maldives Qualification Authority ke Chief Executive Officer Alfa Allah Mariam Fizana Rashid.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahma. İlm genurun hittan alikurevi Rabbu keberi Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yang hamd kuran. İlm genur mi ummata fetrovi Nabiyya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam salavata salam lebon edi dua kuran. adi miduaga ekalek faange al ashabun shamil kuran matita ulema masekkatir kama honar taragi korma behe wazarage minister Dr. Ali Haider Ahmad mi wazarage iswarinna muwazzafun MQA ge board memberu MQA ge certificate panel memberu university taka college takuge iswerin matita ulimde markaz tamsil kurawwa dariwarun MQA ge iswerinna alugonduge lobweti muwazzafun mi rasmiyatan hazibe wadagen tibbevi emmeha izzetterin assalamu alaikum matita ulema masekketteri kama hunarta taragi kurma behe wazarage dashun hinga Maldives qualifications authority ge tasawwuraki rajya ga hinga higher education institutions takun for kodde matita ulim ge fembar kashwar kurun kamugavi hindu mi sarukaruge amazaki ves matita ulim ge fembar korea bore rangalu kurun kamugawa tive matita ulema masekketteri kama hunarta taragi kurma behe wazarage minister Dr. Ali Haider Ahmad isnanga wagen MQA adi ministering miyadu kuriya migenda baddal womaki matita ulim ge fembar rangalu kurmattaka kamuga shamilwa MMB fulonge forihama bæveri umayako bebe furatama mashwara baddalwon ade for koddeve matita ulim ge fembaru kashwar kurmattaka alugon menge minister state ministerun adi ministry ge isverin alugondasha alugonge muwazzafonna devwa ebbaru lebumaki alugon menge bura bodu masekken ada kurmattaka adi ada kuramun dairu alugon menna libe hivare ade hituge fomminun alugon menke lobeti ministersha ministry ge isverinna shukura ada kuram ade miyaduge mi baddalumuga jumla addiha waragina bæveri vela vairu egara college ka de university adi aamu adi sarkaruge bara institution nakun fastolhaka bæveri wadagannawa kami matita olin pemba rangolu kurmattaka emmen goligen masekke koran tayyarati kamuge heyo faale miyadu kardas nota markaz tawge rawu hushalova horiha markaz tawge verinna adi miyaduge mi majli hoga baer wadagannawa horiha markaz tawge verinna muwazzafonna ihulhasterikama ko shukur dannawa adi minevaga MQA ge board adi certificate panel ge member unnasha wadagen tibbevi eki muassasa takuge iswarinasha matita olim de markaz tamsil kora tamsil koram baerwa darivaronna shukura ada koram adi wakin hasakon algon men dannawala komme dannawalom muka ijaba devwa algon menge komme hafla eka guruwan kiwa vidal vedadmun wadagennawa gari riyaza bes hama shukura ada koram ade enge wadagennawane fadan MQA dihas ka vijudan awma fahu dihas ekavihu ka shair kurabon matita olim ga ganun ge dashun matita olim ge fembar wazan ko kashwar kurmattaka wani gawat taka usul taken hedi tampis kuran fashafa namas emme edeve ho badale matita olim aswat watan nufennani hedifawa gawatan emme edeve ko tampis korevegen goswan watikan hitamaya ku faha kuran rajya kahala jazira gawmekka matita olim dinun fula winamaves miyad mewani etake gonjehon takaka korimat lanja hifa hasako kiyawa dinamge damfaliya madumedun badaluge sababum miwani kiyawagen sanad hasil kogen nokonna kodinga gaga kiyevi etche tamfis korumge gabilkan hureto suwal ufaddam fashafa algon men for kodde mati tawlimaki fembar huri tawlimetto suwal ufaddam fashafa hasako mujtamaun ive adaki miyadu kiyawagen nokonna kodinge fembar nete bonaadu sanadu hodani miha kulava agudigenne bonaadu ifahara miweni kujje detanakum wazifa yaddamu degree ebahadaye bonaadu kiyawa devwa darisun ettanun anettana reganu kilas nagamun nagade mondati kiyawa denumge fembar davwa kamge wahaka mihengos miyadu matita olim de markaz takon kiyawagen nokonna kodinge fembar nete mujtamain adi wazifa de faratakum bona etake wahake ive etaken adutake miyadutawge hagigata finaalairu algon men gabul koranje hagigata MQA part time ko bayan ko fawi kam gavias ade part time ge mana olifawa kam ade part time ga namuga wazifa damun full time ge load naga dariwanun ge adadu nisbatum matikan suwalaki mikagum ge sababun unganum ge adi kiyawa adinum ge fembaran asar koreto badale gennan jeheto ade miyadu algon men emmen ettanakan em majli haka jamaave mitibi mikamuge ade for koddeve matita olimge fembar kashwar kurmaga තිය බේෆලුන් කෙවස් කම්බොඩවුන් තකක ගොන්චිහොන් තකන් හොරිමා එකමා මෂවරාකෝ එම්මෙන් ගොලිගෙන් ගොතෙන් ආදේ හල්ලේ ආදේ අලකොන් මෙන්ගේ දරින්ගේ කුරිමක්කටක එම්මෙ රංගලු එදවේ හල්ලෙන් හොදන් මසක කරන් කංකං අලකොන් ගබෝල් කරන් ඉපද බොඩ් කමෙන් නිමුමක ආදේ මතීත ඔලිම්ගේ ෆෙම්වර් කෂවර් කුර්මට්ටක හුරිහා බේෆලුම් වෙස් ඒ රූහෙග්ග අලුගන් මෙන්නායක මසක කුරාන කමං උම්මීද් කරමු කුරියන් හොරි මෂවරාතක තන් දෙමු අදිවසේ පහරු එම්මෙ බෑවරින ශුකුර අදා කරමු හාසකොන් අලුගන්ගේ ලොබ්වා මොසෆුන් හිතක ලොබ්බා එක ශුකුර අදා කරමු අයුම්ගේ ඉස්වරින්න මි මුහිම් බද්දලුම අයුම්ගේ බේවුම ඉන්තිසම් කොද්දේ වීති ශුකුර අදා කරමු වකිවලන් වස්සලාමු අලයිකුම්
शुक्रिया सीओ एम योती मी बदलूंगे एम में हास इन नंबर जलसा के बैवरी ना मुहातब कुरेवो मी नंबर फुरिया मकोद्दे मालगंड वरंग अदबेर कमाक मी धन्यवादनी मिनिस्टर ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन लेबर एंड स्किल्स डेवलपमेंट ऑनरेबल डॉक्टर अली हैदर अहमद गारी हूँ डॉक्टर अली हैदर
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अशरफिल अंबिया वल मुरसलीन व अला आलिहि व सहबिहि अजमईन यूनिवर्सिटी तक कॉलेज तहुगे इसवेरिंग मती तालीमा मसकत्तरकमा हुनरत तरक्की कुरमा बहे वज़ारागे इसवेरिन ना मुवज़्ज़फ़ुन जलसा हाज़िर वडान तिब्बे एम्हा इज़्ज़तरिंग अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू अळगुण मेंगे तरक्कीगे मैगंडु एं असास कमगावा दिवे राज्यगे मती तालीमा बेहे गोतुं मती तालीमगे फेमवरा बेहे गोतुं तिया इज्जतरि नायक मशवरा कोल्लुम मियदु मितनं आवमकी अळगुण लिबे वरबोडु फलका शरफे आद राज्यगा मियोगुतु मती तालीम दे यूनिवर्सिटीया बार कॉलेजका पॉलिटेक्निकका नुवदिह प्राइवेट इंस्टिट्यूटा हताविस पब्लिक इंस्टिट्यूट ए बहुरी मीगे इतरुं इटलीगे यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ मिलानो बिकोकागे आउटपोस्ट का इमाम मोहम्मद इब्न सऊद इस्लामिक यूनिवर्सिटी के अरबी बस के वादे मरकज़ वेस राज्य गवानी कायम कुरेफा नितंतनुगा सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स तक फेरगेंगोस डॉक्टरेट डिग्रीया हमें के वादे अशारस्ते का तेवन्न प्रोग्राम का अप्रूवल कुरिन देफा वायरु दहास बावी हम फेरगेंग फर्स्टते का नुवदिह प्रोग्राम वनी मोल्डिव्स क्वालिफिकेशन अथॉरिटी का एक्रेडिट कोरेफा अद राज्य के इक्तिसाद का मैं सिनायत खास कुरेविगे मैं सिनायत का खास कुरेविगे मोल्डिव्स नेशनल स्किल्स डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी तैयार कोफावा सते का अराविस नेशनल स्टैंडर्ड मोत गौमी मिंगड ओवे एमे हाजिरी अल्गुन में एम नवस एंगेन तालीम की हमें कनी सनदे होद में नूंका डिग्री हासिल कुर्मे बस नूंका तालीम उंगनुमकी उंगनुमुगे हकीकी मकसद की इंसानागे सिकुंडी तरक्की कुरु इल्मा हुनरा काबिलियत इतुरु कुरु अखलाकी मिंगणत दस्कों अरगेन नबु इक्तिसादी हरकत हुगा अमली गोतुम बैवरिवे मुज्तमा इजाबी गोतेगा खिदमत कोद्देवेन गोत्तहक अल्गुन मेंगे दारिवरुं बिना को तमरीन कुरु जुमला को दनवानम गोन्नेंगे मुस्तकबल का अल्गुन मेंगे ज़ुबानम तैयार बेनुम व शख्स बिना कुरु ए अवस बदलत काया को फुरोले मुंदा फन्नियात को कुरेरुन तका आ ईजाद तका अदि दुहा का इतरो मुंदा गोंजहुन तका फुर्सत तका हुशियार कमाय कुरिमतलुमा वेवे तैयारो में है नमस हितामाया को दन्नवन जहनी मियद अल्गुन के वाह को फहम जहनी अल्गुन मेंगे तालीमी निज़ाम गा हुरी बाई हिद्दती हकीकत तक कुन्ने एमहा हाजिरी अल्गुन मेंगे कॉलेज तक यूनिवर्सिटी तक दसवनींगे इल्मी फेमवरा काबिलियता मेदु सुवाल उफद्दा मेंबर इतुरो मुंदाकं हितामाया को फाह कुरं अल्गुन मेंगे एमक्यूए के सीईओ एस देमे एवाह का फाह कुरब्बा राज्य के वजीफा दे फरात का दौलत के मुअस्ससात हो वेरिना अदि अमिल्ला दायरा तकुं या तकरार को फाल कुरा एक कंबडू मकी algon menge das weninge kibaga masakatuge mahawda beenamwa etam muhimmu ilmaka hunare nuhunnaka egotum fahakure kankamu terega das wenin ekashigem wawara masakata tayyar nuwa wahakaya muwasalat kurumge hunaru nuhunna wahakaya ufeddun terikan kudakama masala hallu kurum gabilkan dakkama amille nuwata gulige masake kurumge ruha suluk nuhunna wahaka alunu deke gotka mi masaleki hamekani dariwarunge amilla nafsa dukollewen kamenu mi evara funka visna awas islahataka gennan jefawa ta'limi nizamga arganayfawa masale emha hazirin mati ta'limge dairaga algon mena kurmatfawa emme bodoti gonje hunta tereng ek gonje hamaki algon men ta'lim for kodde gota algon men dariwaron ki bang ummid kurave kankama demedu huri faragu rajyage mati ta'lim de muassasata gina program tahki gawmuge iktisadi daira tahge beenun takka riya kurevigen farma kurefa program take nunkan darnawanjehe mi program tahge manhajta badalwamunda faniyata en hamega muraja kurewmun adaha kurewmun nudakan qabul kuranjehe algon men mati ta'lim ge gina muassasata kon kiyawadinumuge emmeha masakkata kuriya gendawani mendur fahuge damfalin feshigen reeganuge waguttak goya hafta banduga kami algon men emmen danna hagigate mige maaganu beenamaki dualuge hendunuge damfaliga full time ko masake kora muwazzafunna kiyamuge fursat fahi koddinun kama beleve ad Maldives qualification authority ge safa asisabta dakka gotun mihinga dirasi aharuga rajyage matitawlim de markaz tahuga kiyamunda asharaha havur gina deriwarun etere nuwadiha insatta deriwarun kiyawum dani endur fahuge damfaliya reganda block moda hafta banduga migota deriwarunge muhtattaka riyakogen for koddeve lui faseha kiyawumaki beer furum balaer bayka faida huri kame gotga wi namas algonme miedu kuranje suwalaki mifada gotaka for koddeve ta'limge sababun qawmun dakkanjehe ijtimai adi iktisadi agaki ko batoye tedfule algon menge class haga dariwarun hazir wegenna online ko bavere kiyawa hennamas mihar algon menge mati tawlim de class takon ginam fennamun dani jismani gotum hazir we tibinamas nafsani gotum verbal wefawa dariwarun ehni dariwarun class taka annani hendunu damfalige masakka nimmu mafa sida masakatuga maholun kama wati gina fahara evs aramen nati hama yak talim for kodde markaz tahge feedback form tahuga bay darisun report kurawa gotuga gina dariwarunga kibaga kiyoma hunna shawgwari kanda filawal takadde samal kan kuda ufeddun terikama eku mashwara tahuga dariwarun shamil we baverun dani davvam miga sababun unganna dinumuge mahawda nikamati kan ade natijayaki dasweninge femwara nedeve asar kurun anekolon mendur fahuge damfaliya amaz ko ta'lim for ko dinumge intizam ta tartib kurumun algon menge gina ta'limi wasilat emme deve gotuga beenun kurewma kunne nude egotun algon menge campus taka classroom taka ehnihem ta'limi wasilat duwaluge emme ufeddun teri hendunu damfaliga beenun kurevi huskon hunnakan tiemme befulna wesenge dannawan emme haziri mendur fahuge damfaliya regandu class tahuga hafta banduge block modan amaz ko gina markaz takon hingam anna course tahuga full time ko kiyoma part time ko kiyoma demedu hunnanje mingan taka mafhum taka wes wani olun arafa mikamu kambodum Maldives qualification authority in faal korawam gendawata duwas kole vejje miyadum beve mashwara baddaluma kiwes ege aligada dalile ad divhe rajyege qawmi sanatge oniganduga part time ko kiyoma full time ko kiyoma ge wagut khanda elifa abo owe egotum part time ko kiyawa dariwarige program ge muddat full time ko kiyawa dariwarige program wagut ge deguna wan jehenakama wani khanda alafa namas amali gotum full time dariwarunna part time dariwarum wes kiyawa dasweni umga tafate onnakama ka dennave kanne ade migota kiyawa dariwarunge kiyomge masakatuge mimbara course tan nimmuma khanda elifa wa muddatu gawas evves tafate okkama ka dennave kanne mi tafat kiyomge modal chik engulumge muli maqsad netigen danakame mi ta'limge femwar kashor kuruma muli nizamge nazahet terkam wes oi nurakka ter masale kam ganuni nuwan ad algon men ta'lim nizamga huri mifada masaltaka awas hallen nuhodi jnam dihraja rajye beruga wes algon menge sanattuge itubaru gelligen diyumuge nurakka ikkama algonda ebe fene enkamun algon menge taalimi nizamge itbaru demehettu mattaka miyadu algon menna kurevidana kantata ki kobato bala dirasa ko mashwara ko awas islahi fioltake alanje egotum fortam kamka algon danwalan beenumani kiyawadinumuge program tahuge taawalta miha reifawa gottaka medu alun visna wadagatuma full time ko masake kora bodati mihun kiyawumga lui fasiha gotte khiyar kurawen onnan jehena kam algon qabul kuran efada farataka part time ko kiyawena magubes tanwasifa onnam wan anekolun algon menge zuwanuna hivwardi magfahi ko devwanwi hendunuwas himenehe duwalga danfaltahuga masakatum wheelli full time ko kiyawa algon emme miyadu azum kandalambi kuriyan wettin ahar duhog terega undergraduate degree sanadum feshigen daruga sanadta kiyawadinuma duwalga gadtahuga class sabbevuma wagutoronge ekulawalu adi mifal sanatahuga kiyawa dariwarun duwalga wagtahuga campus tahuga wasilatta furihama beenun hifuma baaru alwa efada nizam take gaayam kurun eron kiyawunge mahal rangaluwe dariwarunna hagigi managa kiyawunga baaruma waguta nafsa jaaga libigen dan kama med shakkenne devana kamka alwan dannawalan uti kohuge muddata behegutum MQA ge irshad tak algon men emmen tanfiz kurum muhimmuka full time ko masake kura evs farataka full time load ga nukiyevena go hedum adi efa dariwarun part time ko kiyawan registry ko full time load ge fansas insatte evre gina nuwana goteka module ten negon kashawar kurum hama efa dan full time ko ha part time ko kiyawa dariwarun part time ko kiyawa dariwarun na waki wakin kiyawa dinum onigandu taka wazan kurumuge mingandu taka campus taka kiyama beenum wa wasilata fasehe kamayak beenum kurevena intizamta hamjehifa wa kan tawlim for ko de markaz takun kashawar kurum mifada kan kama magfahi kuruma sarkar ga siyasata gennan jehe badlewanama ekan emagun algon men qur'ana wahaka dannawa timana kamaki mustaqbal ge beenun taka eggota algon menge course taka manhaj taka kiyawadun muge wattafaliya usulta muraja ko alun eklawalun algon tiyemme beflunga arihun edeni ije algon men kuri kame kuri minwara miyadu was ekan egota eminwara kurmuge sagafe tawlimi dairaen fohiluma baru alun wadevu ehni duwas baafawa gottaka mingon taka farma kurefa course taka ungarna dinum wattafal tahoge tereng daswani wegen nukunna dariwanuge hunara qabiliyat miharasha kurimaga wes nufetenati traditional teaching ge emme bodu amazaki hitu daskurma imtihan taka dariwarun tayyar kurum uma ko algon tiya befulna dannawalan beenum wa swalaki artificial intelligence computer ta ge zariyaen mawlumat furihama rakka korvi hindukolage terega hode iru dariwarun hamekani mawlumat hitu daskoddi nomuge beenumaki ko batoy adi hama hemme insana ge gabil kamavre ma avasko eki calculation ta computer ta kon hedeiru dariwarun avassawa hisab ta kon calculate kurmuge tamrin demwiki kurantoy ega baluga algon men dariwarun uganda den vi dasko demvi machine ta kan nukurave kantata kuran egotun dariwarun dasko demvi kankama faadu kiyumuge visnun taragi kurven gottaka sual kurmuge hunar mihun naayku ule ebbardun di muamala kurmuge hunar jehilum womennati bodati masalta hallu kurmuge gabilkan kankama medu visna fikurko masalta hallu kurma beenumwa hunartan ashagennevu hama ifadan ufaddun terikama a ijata hoduma bina kurmuge hunar taraggi ko ashagennevu ufaddun terikama a ijata ka badaltaka heenumuge gabilkama kankama isnaga lead kurmaki mustaqbal ga beenumwana emme muhim hunarta adi mifada qabiliyat dariwarunge kibaga tayyar taraggi ko ashagennevu taka algon menge matita alimge nizam muraja ko alum battan kurang ebaje algon mati tawlim ga amaz ka wani mashruta hogge macca bina ko gen ungenuma ya gulum hure ki dairata ekkollagen kiyawa dinuma tajriba ga macca bina ko gen ungenu rajye ga mati tawlim ga kurima battan kuram wani badalu munda duniye fete dariwarun amaz ko for ko deve khandaile waki maqsad take hasil kurma daswanen tayyar kurma ehi terwana gottaka ka balage daswanin wazifa taka tayyar kurumuge ituru baru menegga badalwamda duniyege masaltaka kurimatla dimawa gonjhuntaka fursatahge beenon hifena hunara gabil kon ashagennu eme hazirin algon wahakolo nimmalum kurin miyadu mi muhim mawduga mashwara korevuma tiyame befulu mi mashwara badalum wada genneviti nuhona ikhlas terkama yakki shukur dannawan adi rajyege mati tadimge femwaru matiko hifehetuma ದಿವರಾಜ್ಯ ರೈಸುಲ್ ಜುಮ್ಹೂರಿಯಾ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮೊಹಮ್ಮದ್ ಮುಯಿಜ್ ಕೆಂಡಿನೇಳ್ ಕುರವಂ ಗೆಂದವ ಮಸೆಕ್ಕ ಪೊಳ್ ಫಾಹಕೊ ಎಮನಿಕ್ ಫಾನ ಹಗ್ಗು ಶುಕ್ರಾ ತಾರೀಫ್ ಅರಿಸ್ಕುರಂ ಮಿ ಮುಹಿಮ ಬದ್ದಲು ರಾವ ಇಂತಜಾಮ್ ಕೊದ್ದೆವಿ ಕಮಟ್ಟಕ ಮಾಲ್ಡೀವ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫಿಕೇಷನ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿಗೆ ಸಿಇಒ ಫಿಜಾನಾ ರಶೀದ್ ಶಾ ಎ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿಗೆ ಹೀವಾಗಿ ಮುವಜ್ಜಿಫುನ್ನ ಶುಕ್ರ್ ದನ್ನವ ಹಮ ಯಾಕು ಮಿ ಬದ್ದಲು ಬೇಮುಗೆ ವಸೀಲತ ಹಮ ಜಸಾತಿ ವಿ ಕಮಟ್ಟಕ ಮಾಲ್ಡೀವ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ಲಾಮಿಕ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ವೈಸ್ ಚಾನ್ಸಲರ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲಿ ಜಾಹಿರ್ ಶಾ isverina nuhun ikhlas ter kamaku shukur danna algonu ikhlas ter dua ki algon men emmen guligen mikura masekatuga men Allah baraka levun divi daringe mati ta'lim ge haya bajwer kurava qabil kama hiwa kama tanwaskan itru kurevun amin wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh
Shukriya Minister. Demmyoti MQA ge presentation. Mi bafuriyama koddevani MQA ge Director General Alfa Allah Fatmat Fazna.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MQಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಮಿ ಹುಷಳಾಲ್ ದೆನಿ ಆಳುಗಂಡು ವಣುನ್ ಫಶಾನಿ ದಾರಿವರೆಗೆ ಕೋಟು ದಾರಿವರೆಗೆ ಬಸ್ಗಳು ಎನ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯರ್ ಬೈ ಡೇ ಅ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಬೈ ನೈಟ್ ಮಿ ಬಸ್ಗಳಕಿ ದಾರಿವರೆಗೂ ಗ್ರಾಡ್ಯುಯೇಟ್ ವಿ ಇರುಗ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ಗ ಫಾಹಗ ಕೊಲ್ಲಾಫವ ವಾಹಕ ಕೊಳೆ ಮಿ ಅಸ್ಲುಗ ಬರ ಫುಮ್ ಮಾಣೆ ದೇಹವ ವಾಹಕ ಕೊಳೆ algonmen mihar mi wahaka dakka mawduwa bara gulum huri bas kole ehnunto algon kuriya dana algon ka presentation ga bodang himana fa miwani MQA ge tafat hisab MQA ge miwagut available data ge macha bina ko hushala leve tafat hisab take ekatun feshum ge gotun algon hama fahaga kollam benuwe vetuwe dia විසකන් හරු තෙරේග higher education වරපඩු development එක ඇසවාකන් අදි higher education institutions ත වරපඩු අදදුන් ඉතුරු වෙෆවාක මිකම් වණි මිනිස්ටර් වෙස් දෙම ෆාහක කරබාෆ අදි හැම එයාක graduate වා දරිවරුන්ගේ අදදු වෙස් මිදනි හැම ඉතුරුවමු දැන් ස්ටුඩන්ට්ස් හැම මිහාරු වරගින ෆුර්සත් වණි හොළවාලයිෆ මක්තබ වණි ෆහිවෙෆ කියවුම එහෙම වීම algon men ekam war boda fahaga kuran namma ves hama minister ves faha kur vifadan algon faha kollam benumani program ta mi waragina program ta ke bahinge namma ves program ta mi hingeni mendur fahu dam padiga kam ekam algon men mi war bodan address kollam mi harti befonat ifen wada gannawani accredited programs ei MQA ga accredit koffawa programs ta dehas 22 wana aharum feshige miyada hamaya previously approved programs e dehas 22 wana aharuge kuring approved koffawa programs takuge adadaki enhas asatega fansas thine adi accredit koffawa program ge adadaki fassate kanuwadiha mige terega certificate level 1 fetchigen gos PhD ya hame program tan himene den fahaga kollave gotga emme ginan accredit koffa mimani masters level programs ta program accredited as full time and part time mi algon hitu mara muhimu data mi data ya balala iruga full time program gotuga accredited koffa miwani fastate kanuwadiha program ege tereng part time gotuga accredited koffa miwani ei full time ma ekko ingeto addiha team program full time and part time gotuga accredited koffa wa adadumi wara boda demmege wahaka minister ge wahak fulka wes wahak kurava fi part time kiyumge wahaka adi ham CEO ge wahak fulka wes e එබෑවනි ගෙනස්වා ගොතම අලුගන්න හැම දන්නවාලම් බෙනවනි මීගෙන් එබ අලුගන්න වෙන්න ඉන්ඩිකේට් කොද්දේ හුරිහා ගෑගණ්ඩකන් හුරිහා ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එමි ගෙන්දනි ෆුල් ටයිම් කොංකන් නමවෙස් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් කුරියක් ගෙන්දා ගාඩි මී තෆාතුවනි then delivery modality balalaruga hama gina huriha programmes mi honani face to face accredit kurevifa adi terega face to face sateka nuadiha high program eve credit kurevifa face to face and e learning dwisata fastolas program the face to face e learning blended learning gotuga sateka high program adi face to face blended learning gotuga tevis program vairuga delivery modality gotka mi hatar gotka modality mi on team program den hingawa balalama enrollment ei deha saviswana ahara adi deha fansaviswana mi haru hinga munda aharu deha saviswana aharu high education institutions ka enroll e fawa dari warunge adadaki dihas duisata ed dari waru adi miharu mihatana hahas duisata salis fast darivarum vani enroll vefa mawara algun menna eba andaza kureve miharu nime ruve samidi harke ebbara nuwata ebbara itura darivarum enroll mun dankam te miga fahaga kolla muhimu kamaki miha gina darivarum takke kiyawa mun dairuka aluganu men eba emme masake kugin ensure kuranje he quality education quality ga wahaka vitami dekeveni dakkairuga halgun menna miha darivaru gina darivaru graduate weke nukunneiru darivarun ge hunnanje he skill set knowledge mihuriha kame hurito algun men khashawar kuranje then algun me mi for kodde program ta quality compromise nuwa gotaka for kodinuma warapoda samal kamen ebadenje then algun mi slide ga miyoti himanalafa para muhim data mi programs tang offer kura time ta ewa ka mi harus mi dekavani ehnon to ekotum colleges balala iruga nuadiha up% ei fasate ka haddiha e darivarun mi kiyawani evening mendur fahuge class takuga mendur fahuge damfaliga emme 2% college tawge mi kiyawani sateka de darivaru ei hendunuge gaditakuga ei jumla fashas hasateka haddiha 3 darivaru mi institutes ke data balala iruga fastelos 4% darivarun kiyawani mendur fahuge damfaliga adi 30% darivarum esateka addiha ek kudi mikiyawani hendunu tinsateka vihi darivarum mikiyawani mendur fanuata haviru nuata regandu class tawa ehma mi alganda deke gotuka wara muhimmo data e jumda kon dannawani nama nuadiha 5% vore gina darivarum eba kiyawa mendur fahu nuata haviru ge gadige class ta nuata regandu gadige class takuga එහෙම දන්න මරුමෙන දෙන්න විදානේ හම් හුරිහා කුදින් හැම කියවණි මෙන්දර ෆහ දම් ෆඩීගයි හම් මිනිස්ටර් විස්වාහක කුර විපද හෙඳුන දම් ෆඩීග එම් දරිවරුන් කියවුමේ වර නෝවේ දෙන් හම් හුස්කොද්දනි රිසෝස් තන් හම වේස්ට් වෙගෙන් මිදනි එමෙ අල්ගොන් මෙන් වර පොඩ විස්නාලන් ජෙහෙ සමාල්කන් දෙන් ජෙහෙ කමෙ මීගේ ජුම්ලාදත කි ෆසතේ කයිකේ bemmi agudige mi algun me dakkani learning hours ge wahaka migotun algun hama example le mini nagafa diploma program eke diploma program ekga huriha befunavas mi engi wadannawane himeneni sateka vihi credit kan sateka vihi credit darivarun jehe hasil kuran big diploma program e furihama kurumattaka igotun total learning hours gotuga darivarun jehe furiham kuran enhas duisatta gadiru ei modi aharaka balala kama vanya then contact hours mi unani 1/3 ehenkama vanya darivaruku mi heda kuran je hatarusate ka gadiru contact hours gotuga per year waragina wagutu ehennunto then semester ka hingawa balalama semester එක අලුවන් මෙන් අමුගොත එක්ක මේ දරිවරුන් කියවනි හතරු මොඩියුල් ඒ කොම්මේ මොඩියුල් එක ෆන්සස් ගඩීරු දෙත්ත contact hours ගොතුක then misalaka independent learning rest of the time that is for independent learning එහෙන් කම වඤ්ඤා ඒ අසත් එක ගඩීරු එබෙජ්ජේ දරිවරක හේද කුරන් independent not the self learning na midannavani darivarun reading vias research heduma vias assignment heduma vias group studies vias project work vis kura mi huriha masakate mi kuran eba beenum ve mi kadi huriha ma kuran je henuniya mi course aslu huriha ma vegen nu de then learning hours midannavani hama self learning na semester එක බලanya eba hatarste ka gadiru heda kuran je then asluga weekaka balanya e gagadaka 26 gadiru darivaru hoyda kuran jene self learning then arunme hinga visnalama miga mi e darivarige schedule balalama e misalaka duwa henne giyas hinga mi darivaraki full time job ka da darivare kama wanama ena wazifa ga e baheda kure gagandaka haika gadiru aggadiru then e aggadiru heda koffa ena family commitments se bahuri then eyan adi time difa mi class takan attend koffa then mi class tangam community fahaka diheka detere e faho den hamba gamu nidam stehena detto mi onnani warak puda wagutu kode asluga they hardly have any time to study asute dabbunanya ema wagute nete darivarunaka furihama gotuga mi course furihama rangala kiyawuma kiyawala akashe mi gotta calculation hada lima e balgon mena fene mi time warabo time commitment miga need wakan full time ko he furihama kolla ehma ei alun men warabodu concern then work family study life balance nukure vevahaka mi darivarun faratum feedback ka salgomna libi favori wahaka institutional audit unna adi HIs taka ek ziyarat takun almenna darivarun ge faratum feedback kotu ge bawri libi fa hama work a family a study mi balance nukurave mi gotta timanna men kiyawa ative full time kon kiyawa iruka adi job addamu dem mi annani hama abadwes mi annani no time me no time me mikan kan kuraka timanna men assignment hadaka time nete ina fahara mi wagota ki wara rush kollafa overtime assignment bani malave faharu ade ehma hama wara uriha kam ves avasar walage kurairuka ege february no hifette ehma almen men hama wara bodu concern mi so quality ensure korave to compromise wegen to mi dani mi hama ufaddan je suwatake then eku mi annani exhaustion frustration stress mi huriha kama ekuga darivarako kinatto kiyawani full time kohe mige sababum ekala assignment sha mi denne bihen mi kura huriha masakata wara bodu asar kure hama there's a huge impact on the quality of higher education we provide එහෙනම් වීම මිකමි අල්ගොන් මෙන් විස්නාලා මිකම් මියදුගේ මි බද්දල් වු මශවරා බද්දල් මුංගා අනේ හුරි චැලෙන්ජර්ස් තක මශවරා කෝ සොලියුෂන්ස් තක හොදා වෙත්තක නිමන් දෙහේ ෆෝරම් එකම අල්ගොන් වර පොඩ දෙක එහෙනම් අල්ගොන් මෙන් මුමිදකි මියදුගේ හම් වර ෆෘට්ෆුල් සෙෂන් එක වාණකම දැන් නිම්මාදුම්ගේ කුරින් වෙසල්ගොන් ෆාහකොල්ලම් බේනුම් වේ khulasa kollum gottum hama dannawalam benuwani rajyega practice ki full time programs ta mendur fahu damfadiga gendiume mi miharu onna mi practice ki then wazifa damun full time program kiyevu part time gotuga accredit koffa eta program tan kurikam gavias hagigi managa part time konne program take kuriya kannude hama huriha darivarum ves mi kiyewani full time konne ehma ei arun men mi address medu koran jehe issue aki ehma mi issue medu arun menna war rankalu khiyal taka mashwarata mi forum ka mi platform ka kuravegin daane kama war poda ummid kuran den ege kurin beenume mi suwalta tibe fulunna hissa kollan then adi algon hama edukollam beenum ve darivarunge wahakatakunna mi huriha kamum mes algon mennen egigen dia hama mi bævaru sababutan e bahurika me darivaru mi gotta kiyawan jehe ekkame gotuka financial constraints hama war poda fahaga korbe timanna mennaka mi jopan nugohe wazifa danu koshe kiyewe kannete ehema mikamuge hallaki ko bato algon men ebaje datto visnala algon hiwani mikamaki ha address kogen algon gottaken hodan je kankan he ei migota darivaru mi bævaru majburi kankan taken huregen bævaru sabutaka hure kannenge migota darivaru mami kiyawan jeheni ema ekankaman algon men ebaje address kogen hallen hoda mammasekke kuran komme gotta fis engechaki mi badalen annan jeheka ngeto quality compromise kurave kanne ekkan alun men emmenge zimma ekkan higher education ke quality strengthen kuru maintain kuru that mean mujtama darivaru certificate hifage sanaten hifage nukunna darivaruga ekkala mibuna skill set a knowledge mi hurihacha hurito kashavaru kura den anika wazifa ya mi onnani warabboda certificate a gulifa promotion na ves gulifa ehem wima bay darivarun visna gotuga timannamen mi kiyawalani avahan ebenumuga ehema evisnum ves ebajehe badal kura mi huriha kamaka hore algon men eba goittake nimman jehe waran avaha then the question is, do the students acquire quality higher education when they graduate? The question is, are we compromising quality of higher education by neglecting the total learning hours required for a qualification? Can the students fully commit to their studies by working full-time, attend families, and study by night? The question is, in order to ensure quality, do we need a change? Tibe from answer korama jesi badanawa questions ta. If so, when? How? The only thing we know is that we cannot compromise quality of education, and today we start, and here we start. Thank you.
Shukriya DG. Kuriya demmyoti mati tawlim ge femwa rangalu kurmattaga beru gaumtawga gengule rangalu kankama ali alwala wakfulu dekemu mi number furemu koddewani MQA ge advisory board member Dr. Ahmad Ali Manik. Dr. Ahmad Ali Manik.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Awan me ko college kombagot to gendam. Awan libon leken tangoti ingresi. Mitana nangoti ingresi. Then mes tihe pam report hingeje. Ema awan assume korani devon dies. Okay, one. Okay. Honorable Minister Dr. Haider, Senior Management of the Ministry of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development, especially the Chief Executive of MQA. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to take part in a very important discussion of quality in higher education. It is good to be back with a number of colleagues, very familiar colleagues, in an important discussion today. I was asked to talk about best practices. I thought there are no best practices in higher education. What is best in one country may not be best in another environment situation. All of you are practicing good practices. So I thought I will stick to good practices. And there can be many good practices in all our institutions. So that's how I changed slightly. My presentation, within the short period I have, will try to focus on two areas. One will be on the review of selected good practices from different regions, different countries. And understandably, it will be very brief because of the time factor. And the second part will focus on practices in regulating work of full-time and part-time students. Maybe we should spend more time on the second part. Anyway, quality in education is a difficult area to define. It's an elusive concept, as people say. Difficult to achieve. Hence, there is no singular definition of quality as such. People talk about quality in terms of multiple dimensions of quality. But whatever quality is, mechanisms and structures and frameworks for assuring quality has come up very rapidly over the last 2 decades. And I think Maldives was lucky to come up with such a framework almost 20 to 25 years ago. When we first established the MAB, Maldives Accreditation Board, we came up very, very quickly with a framework that assisted in standardizing at least courses and programs at that time. So we have evolved over time, and many countries have evolved very rapidly with frameworks. And international organizations also, both UN organizations and private organizations, have also come up with the so-called the business of quality assurance. And sometimes it has become quite a business in accrediting and quality, assuring quality in this area. So, quality assurance. Good practices in the area of higher education include, first of all, to come up with a framework of quality assurance. And many of us, many countries have actually come up with such frameworks. There may be differences, but at least there are frameworks of quality. It also includes fostering culture of continuous improvement and implementing teaching and effective learning strategies. These are, by and large, key areas in improving quality and quality education. It also involves identifying clear policies, regular and timely reviews of programs and institutions, and increasing the stakeholder engagement. And as we know, there are many stakeholders in higher education, not only the students, employers, businesses, parents, so many. And meaningful engagement of stakeholders is an important area. Faculty and staff, support for faculty and students is again a very essential area in quality higher education. And last but not least, more increasingly, data-driven decision-making is becoming a feature of quality assurance aspects now. This also ensures standards, development of standards. To go for quality and quality assurance standards must be available to evaluate institutions against those standards. Accountability is an important factor. Whether institutions are accountable for what they are paid for, what they are subsidized for, is an important part of quality assurance. And of course, continuous improvement in higher education is again a key feature in quality practices. I will very briefly look at some practices from Western countries, Asian countries, Arab countries, and African countries. Understandably, again, this will be very broad and general, and there will be, of course, many differences across the countries and regions. Western countries, I must admit that I may not be most up-to-date in this area. Our colleagues from MQA may be more up-to-date in these areas, because whatever I am able to gather is from literature available as of now, but some of you may have gone to recent conferences and engaged with quality assurance partners, and they may have more up-to-date information. We know that many institutions, they don't update their websites and information. So literature-wise, maybe not so up to, but based on whatever is available, I find that in Western countries, the QA bodies are fairly independent. Their independence in how they operate is a key feature in Western countries. Examples are QAAA, Quality Assurance Agency of UK, TEXA in Australia, and CHIA in USA. Although there are many regional accreditation authorities, CHIA is a federal institution that supports other accreditation agencies as well. But they do come up with accreditation support mechanisms, conferences, and training as well. Transparency in reviews and public reporting is a key feature in most Western countries. In other countries, in other regions also, this is a key feature that we find. Very transparent about their reviews, and public reporting is essential. Student participation in QA panels. How many institutions among us have actually completed QA audits, academic audits? Show of hands. I guess most of you, if not all, have gone through. So you know this, you have gone through this. At least some have gone through 2 cycles of audits. So student participation is there. But the level of student participation and engagement appears to be more in some other countries than what we have. More meaningful student engagement right at all levels is a key feature in these Western countries and QA systems in Western countries. Outcome-based learning is a key feature, and institutional autonomy is adhered to and respected in these systems. Ensuring quality and consistency is again another feature. Because consistency is important, I find that in Western countries, they rely very much on standards and networks of quality assurance agencies. For example, the European Standards and Guidelines, ESG, is widely used in many European countries. So they rely on these networks and the frameworks that they come up with. It's widely used. EST is the European Quality Assurance for Vocational Education and Training, is the European Network for Quality Assurance Agencies, is also an agency that they rely on very much. Some examples of practices from UK, especially in Scotland. These are some of the practices that tend to be identified mostly as good practices or generally identified as good practices in literature. Enhancement-led institutional reviews. And enhancement-led institutional reviews is by and large coming from Scotland, Scottish experiences. The focus is on enhancing quality of student learning experience, student and teacher experiences and standards. The emphasis is on continuous improvement, and a formal forward-looking approach is used in the student enhancement-led institutional reviews. This is very much used and emphasized in Scotland, but not necessarily in England. As you know, there is Scottish framework, and the framework used in England could be different. German Accreditation Council is known for their agency-led accreditation. Germany has a lot of independent accreditation agencies. And these agencies are actually registered in the European Quality Assurance networks. So German Accreditation Council accepts these registered independent quality assurance agencies. And the accreditation is done through those agencies mainly. But the guidance is given, standards are given through the German Accreditation Council. Although they do not do the main accreditation, they depend on the independent accreditation agencies that are registered on the European networks. So that's a big difference, and that is something at least they consider as good practices themselves. USA CHIA, Council of Higher Education and Accreditation, although they also do not do accreditation themselves, there are about 5 or 6 regional main bodies of accreditation, and they do the accreditation through those regional entities. Again, these are very brief. I'm going because of the time. Asian countries. Asian countries seems to have national QA agencies. Example, Malaysian QA, NAAC in India, and additionally, Education Quality Evaluation Agency in China. Some of these institutions may be called what is called government, led by government or semi-government, meaning they are fairly autonomous, but they are by and large, we see in Asian countries, they are more under the guidance of the government agencies or ministries or tertiary education commissions. In Asian countries, there is a trend towards collaboration with regional networks like APQN, Asia Pacific Quality Network, or Quality Assurance in Higher Education International. So QAHE is actually an international organization based in US, but very much active in the Asian region and providing quality assurance and accreditation services to mainly private institutions in the Asian countries. And they rely on that. And they have a certain reputation, so I guess many of the private institutions, they go through them nowadays. Again, by and large, institutional self-assessment and tiered accreditation. I will talk about tiered accreditation a bit later, but institutional self-assessment, which most of us are familiar with, is also used in many Asian countries. The key focus is on teaching quality, in addition to many other factors, but rating seems to be something that many of these countries tend to rely on, giving them A+, A-, or D, or other ratings. We are not familiar with that yet. Use of performance ratings. Examples are the Setara used in Malaysia. Setara is the rating system used in Malaysia. Malaysia also has got another system called MyQuest, again a rating system. And NARC, India uses grades from D to A++, I think. So these are interesting examples that we may need to look at sometime. Interesting example in Malaysia, MQF and micro-credentials is coming into vogue nowadays. Students are able to do smaller parts of course modules, units, and getting credentials, micro-credentials, and accumulating these micro-credentials over time towards a degree. This is becoming a feature now. India has got 7 criteria NARC grading, as I said before. Japanese institutions go through external reviews by their quality assurance agency, NIAD, QA. New third-party evaluation is also coming up in Japan, where certified evaluation and accreditation is also happening in Japanese system now. Arab countries. Again, there will be differences, but by and large, we see fairly centralized QA systems. Fairly centralized QA systems. They are very often established by royal decrees. I mean, governance systems in these countries are different, so we can understand. Oman Accreditation Authority is one interesting agency that they have developed quite well, largely because I think they were able to get funding and establish their systems and training, and they have done a lot, I think. Oman Accreditation Agency. Saudi Arabia has also got their systems established through their, they have all these associations, agencies have gone through evolutions recently. Their names have changed, how they are established have also been changed. They are going towards more independence, but they are still fairly centralized authorities. Oman Authority for Accreditation, Academic Accreditation and Quality Assurance of Education has got two interesting features. They go through audit, which we are mostly familiar with. It is an evaluation of the effectiveness of institutional quality assurance and quality enhancement processes in the institutions. So they go through an audit of the quality systems within the institutions. Institutes are instructed to have their own systems, but externally they are audited for their effectiveness of systems, whether they are meeting their own stated goals or not. This ends up with a public report, the report that is published. Everybody can see that. But the second part of their evaluation, higher education institutions undergo standards assessment, empirically measuring whether higher education institutions has met QA standards published by the national agency. So this is a standards effectively evaluating the against the standards by the national authority, whether they are performing at satisfactory levels or not. The assessment report is a private document. That's the difference. The first audit report is publicly available for everyone to see. But the standards report is privately shared with the institution. And they are asked to undertake corrective measures if there are. But publicly, they would declare whether the institution will be accredited or not. The accreditation status will be publicly advertised or declared, but the report goes privately to the institution. This is an interesting feature that I came across. Strategic alignment with the national visions. The countries I looked at, Saudi, Vision 2030, Oman has a Vision 2040. Many of these countries, they have national policies. For example, Omanization of their workforce, Bahrainization of workforce, Saudization of workforce. In other words, they have a very strong emphasis in giving employment for their students, even part-time employment during their studies for their nationals, to increase the skilled workforce of those countries. So such schemes are there. So accreditation standards and policies, I see, are very much aligned with these national visions and national policies in them. Emphasis on graduate employability is a key feature in these countries. International benchmarking and periodic re-accreditation is also happening. One example, as I said, is Oman that I have. Looking at the African continent, we find regulatory councils like the council in South Africa and Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. Accreditation is done through these councils. Again, fairly centralized systems, but working towards autonomous institutions as well. Institutional audits and program accreditation, the ones that we are familiar with, is happening in these countries as well. Capacity building through international support appears to be a feature in these countries, maybe because they get a lot of international support through different aid agencies. So international collaboration is there. Capacity development is an important feature. Capacity development of quality personnel in quality assurance and institutions is very much focused in some of these countries in Africa. Of course, again, I have to emphasize that there will be differences in different countries. Harmonization through Africa-wide quality assurance management systems and frameworks is very much used. A lot of these countries, they use systems that are developed for the whole African countries, African continent. South African Council on Higher Education, they go through 6-year audit cycles. I don't know why they go through 6-year audit cycles, but their 6-year audit cycles are a fairly comprehensive evaluation of the quality management systems of institutions. Institutions are required to develop QMS systems. So the National Accreditation Council will go and audit against those QMS systems. It is a comprehensive evaluation. But institutions, again, they are asked to prepare mid-cycle reports. Once an audit is complete in 6 years, during mid-cycle, they have to respond to the findings and recommendations of the audit report. So institutions will have to prepare mid-cycle reports. That's a key feature I found there. Ghana has got a lot of quality assurance units audits for compliance with minimum standards and institutional reviews have supportive goals in Ghana system. There are others that are considered, that could be considered as best practices or good practices, but these are only selected ones that I have come across. I told you about the tiered accreditation, especially in Malaysia. Tiered accreditation meaning multiple levels, whether they are full, provisional, or excellent. They can be given provisional accreditation. I think MQA also practices something similar. At least they have done it in the past. Varies oversight and autonomy by tiers of levels or tiers of accreditation. Used for funding, tiered accreditation used for funding, recognition, and student decision making. Malaysia has an interesting system some of you are familiar with. Setara and MyQuest are the rating systems used in Malaysia. They used to have 1 to 6 rating, from weak to outstanding. But recently, the most recent, Setara and MyQuest have changed from the 6 levels to 2. 2022 is the most recent rating scales. And I think they have taken into account the impact of COVID, because 22 ratings were done on information collected in 2021. So they take note of the impact that COVID may have had on the institutions. Maybe because of that, but I don't know, I'm not sure. Now they go towards a status of competitive and viable. Institutes are identified as being competitive, which is the highest level, outstanding level, or viable. India goes from D to A++. D is not accredited. A+ is the top. And they have A+ also. A also. B++, B, like that. Philippines have levels from 1 to 4, and UAE have initial versus full accreditation, 2 levels of accreditation. Under the most recent Setara qualification, International Islamic University of Malaysia has been declared competitive. What does competitive category mean? This is something interesting for us to consider as we evolve our systems. If an institution achieves competitive, these are incentives that they get. Incentivizing institutions that achieve a certain level. They do not need further verification visits for new intake of local and foreign students. They do not need further verification to change or add on or renovate existing premises. They are allowed to adjust their tuition fees. They are allowed to set up branch campuses. They can franchise their programs to other institutions in country or even overseas. They can make the rankings public to promote their institutions. So IIUM was declared competitive in their last one. There are many other institutions that were declared competitive as well. So, but this was an interesting feature. So, in general, as a summary, I find that in Western countries, they are independent outcomes-based, transparency is high, student role is very strong, global alignment is strong. But in Asian countries, central and semi-autonomous institutions, transparency is moderate, not as high as in other countries, in Western countries. Student role is also moderate. They involve students, but it is moderate. Likewise, Arab countries is centralized, focusing on employability. Transparency is moderate, student role is low, and global alignment is strong again. So like what African, so this is in summary, say, overall good practices reflect regional strengths and needs. They have shared goals of accountability, improvement, and international recognition. These good practices, these are some of the common features. The strategic reforms to ensure contextual relevance and global competitiveness is becoming more and more a feature of most quality assurance systems, because I think mobility of workforce is a reality now. So they have to be globally competitive. Some of the policy considerations are here, but I don't think I should go over this one. But if MQA considers or ministry considers, these are some of the areas that we can focus on in terms of policy considerations towards policy development. Now I'm rushing because I've been informed that I don't have much time. Now I'm going to the second part, the part-time, full-time. Again, Fazna was able to share the situation from the locally, but my work is easy because I have to present the international practices in. Generally speaking, what does full-time mean? Again, this is typical, but again there will be variations. 12 to 18 credit hours per term is generally seen as full-time work. This translates to about approximately 30 to 40 hours per week of academic engagement time, meaning sitting in classroom or in front of a computer if it is online mode, personal studies, research, whatever it is. This again varies from country to country and practice. Generally speaking, 30 to 40 plus hours of academic work is required for full-time studies. Generally speaking, if a student takes 75% or more of credit hours of what is considered a full-time load per term is full-time. Likewise, part-time is considered 12 credits or less typically. In other words, if somebody takes less than 75% of the typical academic load, that is considered part-time. Part-time, full-time status has influences access to financial aid and work rights, employment rights. Most countries allow full-time work for local students legally. In other words, there is no ban on full-time work while studying full-time legally. But whether that is practiced or restricted through university policies is different matter. QA agencies are by and large not involved in regulating work hours. QA agencies are by and large not involved. But providers, higher education providers, they can regulate, they regulate. And they encourage limiting work based on the academic load. That is the general practice that I find. Support varies by institution, and national labor laws and employment regulations dictate whether students can work this amount, whether they can work this amount, not QA regulations. Examples are there from Oman, Saudi Arabia, India. No work hour limits as such. UK, New Zealand, Australia, no restrictions for domestic students. Of course, international students are restricted through their visa requirements. This is a different matter. Students on scholarship and international students, their full-time or part-time work is limited through the regulations of immigration and visa. But for domestic students, there is no such restriction as such legally. QA bodies do not regularly regulate work. Instead, universities have university-level support. Saudi Arabia, University of Mauritius on-campus jobs are available. They even encourage university on-campus jobs. They promote full-time work during academic breaks, summer breaks, but part-time work during term times. So these are support mechanisms that they have for students. Waterloo, University of Waterloo in Canada and northeastern USA, these are well known for what they call co-op programs, cooperative programs that facilitate students to participate in activities, internships, jobs on campus, in cafeteria, in cafes, or shops, or bookshops, whatever. And they are designed. And UK's King's College is also known for their talent bank, where students can register through that bank and work either ad hoc through ad hoc part-time arrangements or even full-time internships. These are arrangements organized by universities within the campus for their students. Open University in Malaysia have some universities have flexible schedules to accommodate students who work. Online and hybrid study modes. There's no restriction on based on study mode. That's basically what I find. No restriction whether they are studying online or full-time, face-to-face or not. International students, as I said before, they are regulated through the visas. Fully online enrollment may, of course, void based on work rights. International students, it will be very difficult to work fully online. Some countries will not allow students to go overseas with a visa and study online there. I think USA requires presence in the classroom if they are going on student visas. I looked at all these countries. Legally, students can work if they are full-time. But restriction comes through other modes. QA does not regulate. Quality assurance agencies do not necessarily regulate work part-time. But institutions, they have their own advisement or encouragement or discouragement to work. What I find is many universities have actually tried to accommodate students' work experience, working part-time, working full-time during vacation time. And most employers nowadays encourage students to do some work. Work experience programs are designed, built in. Programs are actually designed to incorporate work experiences into their programs, because that is what is needed by most employers these days. So good practices, I find, in short, are flexible scheduling, work-study programs, and aligning internships or co-op programs with academic credit. So work programs, study programs can gain credit. If I remember correctly, the University of Waterloo in Canada, their students can work full-time in one semester, and the next semester they can go full-time for co-op programs. So during a 4-year program of 3 or 4 year degree program, undergraduate studies, they can get at least 1 to 1.5 years of work experience, which is quite useful and actually needed by employers. So academic advising and tailored support services through the institutions is something very important for students. Monitoring academic impact of employment is something to be built in. These are things that policy level or ministry level or MQA level can do. I mean, system level, they, or even universities can monitor the impact through a research or whatever. Again, consideration for policy recognition, policy regulation, academic performance, full-time work impact, attendance. We know that full-time studies, full-time work will certainly impact academic work, definitely. The ability to attend classes, the ability to finish assignments on time, do research, certainly impacts if they are working full-time. But student well-being is also an important part. Central agencies and universities, colleges should make student well-being a priority. They must be guided to balance their studies and whatever work they do. Financial needs is an important factor, as we heard in our previous presentation. Workplace opportunities, partnerships, legal and safety requirements are also important to protect students for their rights to study and also to work. Do we have policies in those areas? These are areas that we need to consider. There must be policy alignment to support, to sustain this. Policy alignment where? Policy alignment in higher education policies, in labor policies, immigration policies must align to support full-time, part-time students and how they can work. This is a very important area, I think, as we develop our higher education systems. So I think I can now close down. So in general, I find that although QA agencies do not regulate this area, there's no reason why we may do things differently if there is a need. But the general practice is what I have just presented. So thank you very much for giving this time for me. Thank you very much.
Shukriya, Dr. Ahmad Ali Manik. Agenda ke dengar number jehel muga kuring dengar me nagala ni farnar met ke coffee break hai dengar me fashani 10:45